Hello students, welcome to News Analysis by BAJIRAO IAS Academy. So today we will discuss some of the most important and most relevant news articles for the exam, right? So before proceeding into the discussion, let's discuss the yesterday given practice question. So consider the following pairs. Uh, the Karikali Bird Sanctuary, Kerala, Pala Wetland, West Bengal, Pichavaram Mangrove, Tamil Nadu, and the Sakya Sagar, Madhya Pradesh. So, which of the following are correctly matched? See, the Pichavaram mangrove, yesterday we have discussed. The Pichavaram mangrove is in Tamil Nadu. So, before answering this question, let's discuss about these wetlands and their location also. See, the Pallikaran Marsh Reserve Forest is a freshwater marsh in Chennai, and it is only surviving wetland ecosystem in Chennai and last remaining natural wetland in South India. The Karikali Bird Sanctuary, it is also located in Kanchipuram district of Tamil Nadu. The Pichavaram Mangrove, it is also located in Chidambaram, Kadalur district of Tamil Nadu. It could be counted among the largest mangrove forests in the country. So this could be counted as the largest mangrove forest. The expanse of the forest is 1,100 hectares. So the Pala wetland is located in Mizoram, and it is the largest natural wetland in Mizoram. Right, so it is surrounded by green woodlands. The Sakhi Sagar, it is located in MP. This is a lake, and it is integral part of Madhav National Park. And Madhav National Park is located in Madhya Pradesh. So the Sakya Sagar is located in Madhya Pradesh. Pichavaram mangroves, Tamil Nadu. Pala wetland is not located in West Bengal. It is located in Mizoram. And the Karikili Bird Sanctuary is not in Kerala, rather it is in Tamil Nadu. So therefore, the correct answer for this question is option D, 3 and 4 only. Okay, so this is the today given practice question for prelims. Please answer this question and type the correct answer in comment section, right? So the question is, consider the following statements about Montreux record. You know, Montreux record is very important because it is related to the conservation of wetlands. So therefore, uh, you have to answer this question. It was established by recommendation of con conference of the contracting parties to the United Nations Environment Program. So it was designed to stop production and import of wetland depleting substances and reduce their concentration in the atmosphere. So please select the correct answer among these, and also read about the Montreux Record and the Ramsar Convention on Conservation and Wise Use of Wetlands. Okay, so let's proceed into the news articles discussion. These are the list of important news articles. Uh, so these two articles are important for the mains examination point of view. Awaiting liftoff into the second space age. So in this article, it has been discussed that we are uh, we are into the second space age. We have passed from the first space age to the second space age, and the article elaborately discussed about India's potential and existing opportunities and need for the regulatory environment and greater participation of the private sector in the space arena has been widely discussed in this article. For mains examination point of view, especially for paper 3, science and technology section, this article is very important, right? And the second news article is directing artificial intelligence for better and smarter legislation. See, this article is important for both paper 2 and paper 3 of UPSC mains because it deals with how to use artificial intelligence for better and efficient decision making and legislation and codifying laws, and also taking into consideration analyzing the pattern of grievances of these citizens and the best practices around the world where artificial intelligence is used for the better and smarter legislation has been widely discussed. So this is given in the backdrop of growing importance for artificial intelligence, especially we are in the age of digitization, right? And these are some of the important articles for prelims examination. So one is center plans to reform the existing livestock insurance scheme. This is in the context of increasing the enrollment and coverage of livestock insurance in the country. And secondly, what is a cyber insurance? Do small units need cyber cover? This is also important for prelims. And the third article is India's tiger population. Tiger census conducted, and tiger population reached 3,000 tigers, more than 3,000 tigers. So UPSC in the previous previous years also asked questions like stripes, that is related to the tiger conservation and tiger population. So therefore, that this article is also important. The fourth article is India to bridge language gap with neighbors. This is in the context of India planning to leverage the existing cultural ties and cultural links with the Central Asian region and Southeast Asia and South Asian countries, right? So let's discuss the first news article. This news article is regarding awaiting liftoff into the second space age. So the author saying that we have successfully completed the first age of space, and now we are into the second space age. So, in this context, we will discuss India's space journey so far. What is India's space journey so far? How India made uh, a success. I mean, how India made a rapid uh, advent into the space arena. Its SLV program, PSLV program, GSLV program, various satellites, the Earth observation satellites, communication satellites, and its new missions. And also the space potential. What is the potential of space in terms of providing, uh, digital connectivity, creation of employment, and also attracting the foreign direct investment? What is the overall potential of the space sector? And how we can create a more enabling environment in the second space age has also been discussed in this article. So let's proceed into the article, right? So the author suggesting that the space age began in 1957 with the satellite Sputnik was launched in 1961. With this launch of the satellite, the space age began, right? The first cosmonaut, Yuri Gagarin, became the world's first person in space. So, Russia, the person uh, who are into space in Russia, they are called as cosmonauts. In US, they are known as astronauts. In the same way, India, they are known as Vyomonauts. Okay, so he was the first person in space from the then USSR. Now, after that, Neil Armstrong made history by walking on moon in 1969. So he was from US. So after this, the first space age became a reality. Now the second space age started. Though there was no precise time for the beginning of the second space age. However, it could be concluded that in 1950s and 1991, this period was largely dominated by the Cold War. Just 60 to 120 satellite launch took place annually in this period, especially in this period. Just 60 to 120 space launches took place. But 93% of these were conducted either by US or then USSR. 93% of total satellite launches in the first space age, right? But now, in the second space age, or 3 decades later, there were many more actors. For example, India, Japan, and even China also. So these space players have coming into the space arena, and they are also proving their capabilities. For example, China already built its international space station, or attempt to build international space station, and India is also uh, on its way to build international space station by the year 2030. And India successfully launched Chandrayaan 1, Chandrayaan 2, and the Mars orbiter mission into the space. So they were a low cost and most efficient missions on the part of Indian Space Agency. So therefore, there were many actors in the space scene now. Uh, this is the beginning of the second space age. This is what the article has been suggesting. So, and also the advent of the private sector. The second space age also marks the advent of the private sector into the space arena. Last year, there were 180 rocket space launches. Last year, in 2022, there were around 180 rocket launches. 61 by Elon Musk's SpaceX, and 90% of global launches since 2020 are by and for private sector. Okay, so now the private sector is a larger player, whether it is about owning the satellites or launching the satellites. Out of 180 space launches, 61 belong to the SpaceX private company owned by Elon Musk, and 90% of the global satellites are owned by the private startups. Even government also launch satellites into space for communication purposes and military purposes, weather forecasting purposes. But new startups are emerging, so they are also uh, sending satellites into space. So that could be used as an asset for those respective startups, right? So in India's space journey begins, so a modest entry into the first space age. So India's entry into the space arena, that was a modest entry in 1960s. So the first sounding rocket that was supplied by US, that was a Nike Apache, was launched from Tumba. Tumba is in Kerala. It was also a rocket launching station, right? So it was launched in 1963, and ISRO was established in 1969. So this was a modest entry uh, after independence by India into the space the space arena, right? So in 1969, the Indian Space Research Organization was established. So, however, after its first launch, after its establishment, India has come a long way. Now it has a 15,000 employees overall, and it has an annual budget of 12,000 crore to 14,000 crore. So it sought to prioritize the social objectives and benefits. uh, the prioritization of social objectives and benefits means that ISRO's main focus is on, for example, providing teleeducation, telemedicine, weather forecasting, and the mapping of resources. Uh, so, communication. These are the main priorities and objectives of ISRO, right? So, it sought to prioritize social objectives and benefits. And those services provided by ISRO are also very important for the overall socio-economic development of India. So, for instance, its first major project was the Satellite Instructional Television Experiment site. So, this is for educational outreach across 2,400 villages. This site, the Satellite Instructional Television Experiment, for providing educational uh, services to 2,400 villages. This is also part of the ISRO's overall priority of uh, social objective and social benefits, in order to provide the social objectives and social benefits. right? Now, satellite technology was a new mass communication tool. Now, the facilitation of the digital connectivity is uh, possible through satellites and the faster fiber networks. Everything is made possible by the satellites, and they are being used for communication purposes also. So this led to the INSAT class, Indian National Satellite Series, in 1980s. So India started INSAT series in 1980s. So that was followed by the GSAT. So INSAT class and GSAT class both are communication class satellites, and they provide backbone for countries' telecommunication and broadcasting infrastructure, right? So both INSAT class and GSAT class provide backbone for countries' telecommunication and broadcasting infrastructure. And this also follows the remote sensing capability development. So remote sensing capability will help India to map the existing resources, to map minerals, and also understand the availability of groundwater in different regions of the country so that appropriate measures could be taken. So, this remote sensing capability also developed by India. The use of space based imagery for weather forecasting, resource mapping of forests, and also analyzing the agricultural yields, groundwater, watersheds, gradually expanded to cover fisheries and urban management. So the remote sensing capability has a wide ranging applications. So all these applications are given here. So they include right from the weather forecasting up to the urban management. So after the remote sensing program of India, India also started or launched its OceanSat satellite, its Cartosat series satellites. So the OceanSat satellites observe the ocean, the rising sea surface temperatures, ocean acidification, and ocean resources and navigation. All the applications come under OceanSat. However, Cartosat has space applications. For example, observing the space phenomena, observing different space objects comes under the Cartosat series, right? So uh, these the OceanSat aid navigation, and it began Gagan. This was a project jointly developed by ISRO and Airports Authority of India. So, what are the objectives of the Gagan? The objectives of the Gagan is to augment the global positioning system coverage in the region. The global positioning system is used for navigation across the country. In order to further augment the services of global positioning system, India launched, ISRO launched the Gagan project, right? And that also helps in aviation sector as well. So to improve air traffic management over Indian airspace, these two are objectives of Gagan project. So this has now expanded to regional navigation satellite system called Navigation with Indian Constellation. This is India's own navigation constellation, a system of seven satellites, right? A system of seven satellites. India have its own navigation system. However, GPS is a US based navigation system used by India. Now, India through NAVIC also have its own navigation satellite system similar to GPS. So along with such remote sensing capabilities and development of navigation satellites, communication satellites, India also developed the satellite launch capabilities. Along with these things, India also parallelly developed the satellite launch capabilities. So it started with SLV-1 program in 1980s. It started with SLV-1 program in 1980s, and it took a decade before ISRO developed. It took almost a decade for ISRO to develop Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. It is very often called as the workhorse of ISRO because of its success. It became ISRO's workhorse with over 50 successful launches so far. Since PSLV has the highest success rate, it is very often called as the workhorse of ISRO. So, what is the potential of the space sector? What is the potential of the space sector with respect to India? The origins of the second space age can be traced to the revolution in the internet and the digital technologies and efforts from the government side to bridge the existing digital divide. So the origins can be traced from the advent, the emergence of internet, especially with respect to India. The process began accelerating in 1990s, and it saw emergence of private TV channels, cable TV, and direct to home transmissions. And they see the advent of the private TV channels, cable TV, direct to home transmissions, and that led to uh, a boost to the second space agency. That led to the advent of the second space age, right? So the demand for satellite transponders, ground-based services have been enormously exploded, enormously increased because of the emergence of private TV channels, cable TV, and direct-to-home transmissions. So the age of mobile telephony and then the smartphones. First, India had an age of mobile telephony, and that was driven by the BSNL network expansion throughout India, and then followed by the advent of smartphones, especially after the Digital India program has shown the world how India is a data hungry and not just a data hungry society, but it also a data rich society because India generates a huge data because of its 1.3 billion population and highest percentage of population using digital devices. So therefore, India can be called as a data hungry and data rich society. Now India have broadband, over the top, 5G. They all these sectors have promised uh, a double-digit annual growth in demand for satellite services because of increase in broadband services, over the top services, and also the 5G network have increased or double the annual growth in satellite demand or satellite based services. So therefore, Indian Space Agency have a huge potential in the coming years. So this has been proved by giving some numbers. In 2020, the global space economy was stands at 450 billion US dollars. So it is estimated that by 2025, the global space economy will grow to 600 billion. However, with respect to Indian space economy, it is estimated that Indian space economy valued at 9.6 billion. However, it is expected that by the year 2025, the Indian space economy will grow to 13 billion US dollars. However, the potential is much greater with enabling policy and regulatory framework. If India have a great enabling policy and regulatory framework, this potential could be further enhanced or increased. Indian Space Agency could easily reach a 16 billion by the year 2030, provided that we have an enabling policy and regulatory environment. Okay. So the growing role of the private sector is also evident. For example, within India, there are several private space companies. The Skyroot is one such private space company in India, right? So they are growing role in private sector, and uh, especially most of the satellites are owned by these private companies and new startups. Some data given by according to UN Office for Outer Space Affairs, there are 8,261 satellites in orbit currently, of which nearly 5,000 are active. So till 2010, about 60 to 100 satellites were launched annually, but now the pace has picked up. In recent years, in 2020, overall 1,283 satellites were launched into space. You can imagine the scale of the satellite being launched into the space. In 2010, it was just 60 to 100 satellites, but in within a decade, this number is increased enormously. Now, by the year 2020, total satellites launched is 1,283. Today's Starlink. Starlink is uh, a project proposed by the SpaceX that is to provide uh, broadband services. That is to provide a low latency broadband connectivity around the globe. So this uh, constellation have 3,500 satellites and has a million paying customers, around 1 million customers, and has 3,500 satellites. The OneWeb is also a similar constellation to provide broadband services to people who are otherwise not connected with the broadband services. Please remember the Starlink and OneWeb, and also the project Copier. This was launched by the Jeff Bezos of Amazon. So the all three projects are very important for the examination point of view, right? So their objective is to provide low latency broadband connectivity around the globe. So together, the OneWeb and Starlink consists of 40,000 satellites each, right? So the regulation of the space domain will always be a challenge, but this provides some scope for the expansion. So how can we create a regulatory environment for space sector? So Indian space sector is responding to the demands. Indian space sector is readily uh, responding to the demands of the second space age. So from less than a dozen space startups 5 years ago, only a dozen of space startups. Now, space startups in India are over 100, right? So this is a very good sign of increasing private sector participation in India's space activities. The pace of investment is also growing. 3 million in 2018 to 65 million in 2021. So this is also increasing, an enormous increase in the private investment in space sector. So the sector is poised to take off, right? For example, how IT sector has emerged as a significant contributor for the Indian economy. In the same way, Indian space sector has also uh, have the potential to grow in such a manner or contribute to the national economy. So today ISRO manages around 4 to 5 launches annually, but it manages just 53 operational satellites in comparison to China that manages 541 satellites. ISRO manages just 53 satellites, but China manages 541 satellites. So ISRO also launched Chandrayaan mission, Mangalyaan mission, and the Gaganyaan mission. Gaganyaan is a manned space mission. India planning to launch this mission by the year 2024. This is a manned space mission and has always been an open organization that worked closely with different stakeholders, even with the private sector in space arena, right? Uh, in 2017, the government introduced the first draft space activities bill in parliament. However, this bill not passed. This was lapsed. But this first draft space activities bill have provisions for creating an enabling environment and also provide for regulation of the space sector in. But the regulation is a healthy regulation for the greater competition or a healthy competition of the private sector, attracting investments into the space sector, right? So this was not passed. The first draft space activities bill not passed. However, there have been talks for commercializing polar satellite launch vehicle and small satellite launch vehicle services. New Space India Limited (NSIL) was created to replace Antrix. Antrix is a commercial arm of ISRO. Whatever technologies ISRO developed over a period of time, they are commercialized by Antrix earlier. In order to replace Antrix, the government had set up New Space India Limited, right? So the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center was also established recently. And actually, this is a single window clearance for the private sector. If anyone uh, investing in or uh, or coming up with a new startup in a private sector, they must get the authorization from the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, and it is a single window clearance for the private sector. However, uh, in recent years, several papers were published, circulated for discussion regarding the SATCOM and telecom satellite communication and telecom policies and Earth observation policies and direct investment policies. So different such policies have been on papers. However, the policies which are on papers will not give a substantial uh, outcome, will not result in a substantial outcome or effective implementation. What the author has been suggesting that what is needed now is a legislation rather than the policy papers. We need a legislation for a Space Activities Act. A Space Activities Act is needed, and this provides a legal grounding that policy papers lack. Policy papers are just uh, the executive goals, objectives provided by the administrative unit. I mean, how they wanted to develop the space sector over a period of time. However, they lack the necessary legal grounding. But if we have a comprehensive Space Activities Act, then it would give a necessary legal grounding for such policies, such frameworks. So therefore, it helps in uh, effective development of the space sector. So it helps in setting up a regulatory authority and also creating an enabling environment for rising venture capital funding into the space sector. However, the window of opportunity for the second space age is open for India, and India must encash such opportunity rather than it should not lose such a opportunity. So therefore, it should not be lost, and the opportunity, the window of opportunity is still open for India, and India should not lose such a opportunity. So this is all about the first space age and the advent of the second space age, or India's space agencies, various satellite launch programs, and how existing ISRO as an agency is overburdened, more constrained, and how we can promote the space, the private space agencies in our country, how to attract more and more investment into the space agencies, and how we can create an enabling environment in the space sector are some of the issues which have been discussed in this article. So now let's discuss the next news article. So the next news article is regarding artificial intelligence for better and smarter legislation. So this article has been discussing about the use of artificial intelligence in legislature, especially it helps in understanding how the legislature could effectively use the artificial intelligence, how we can understand the nature of laws already in existence, and how absolute laws can be removed from the legal of architecture of India. So they have been discussed in a very detailed manner. So directing artificial intelligence for better and smarter legislation. Now, artificial intelligence nowadays has been attracting the attention of entrepreneurs, political leaders, and policymakers, right? Because artificial intelligence tools can be used for better legislation and for parliamentary procedures. So, because of the wide and extensive use of artificial intelligence for making better legislation and parliamentary procedures, it is also attracting the attention of political leaders and policymakers. The example has been given. The example is that artificial intelligence tools can assist parliamentarians in uh, preparing response for legislators. There are a number of legislators within parliament, and they ask different questions to legislators. So artificial intelligence will help legislators or the parliamentarians to prepare a response for legislators, enhancing research quality. Whenever they are discussing about the bills, they should have a good quality and well researched information. So, therefore, artificial intelligence will also help in enhancing research quality and obtaining information about any bill which has been introduced in the House, and preparing briefs, providing information on particular House rules, legislative draftings, amendments, and interventions. So, artificial intelligence can be effectively used in the legislative space for all these activities. And this can also empower the legislators to make informed decisions by having insights into citizens' grievances. See, parliamentarians, uh, they represent people in a particular constituency, and people also have grievances about any particular problem. So, therefore, artificial intelligence can empower legislators to take an informed decision on the grievances of citizens, and media opinions also, and voices of the citizen centric associations. A right decision could be taken so that the negative implications or the negative consequences of taking decision could be further minimized. Okay. But however, there are many obstacles. We have analyzed how artificial intelligence can be effectively used by parliamentarians in different aspects. But along with it, there are many obstacles for artificial intelligence to work in India. So, what are those challenges? They include uh, we have no codification of different laws. Yes, we have a wide variety of laws, too many laws, but they are not well codified. Codification of laws effectively means that, for example, when it is about a marriage, all the laws related to the marriage or set or in a particular section, right? So whether it is about uh, so a wildlife crime, so a wildlife protection, So this is a codification of laws. Different laws have been in different sections, and all the laws have been codified so that the information can be rightly extracted from any such law. And when we codify laws, that also helps in obtaining information um, from such laws very easily with the help of artificial intelligence, and also help us understand the loopholes, the legal loopholes existing in those laws. So the challenges existing with current laws are, they are not, they are opaque, and they are also complex, very complex, and they are also a huge translation gap in lawmaking, law implementing, and law interpretation organizations, right? So they are very complex, and these laws are also not translated. For example, most of the laws are made in English or Hindi language, and they are not translated into the local languages. So when they are not translated into the local languages, it is very often difficult for parliamentarians to understand the the objectives and the provisions of such laws, because India is has a huge diversity, and every state almost have their own official language. So therefore, artificial intelligence will help translating such laws and will make those laws simple to understand. However, Indian government launched India Code Portal. So this is a minor attempt on by the government of India to create a single source of truth. So Indian Code Portal, a portal, an integrated portal or an umbrella portal. This will host, this will consist of all the bills, all the laws, uh, both by the center and state governments, and judicial proceedings, and also the uh, judicial pronouncements on different cases. So this consists of all all the laws which are passed or in the parliament, right? But it cannot be an entirely relied upon as a single source of truth. But this is not completely reliable, even Indian Code of Portal also, because uh, the interface should contain a complete chain, right, from the Parent Act up to the subordinate pieces of legislation passed by the center, amendments made, notification brought. There needs to be a 360-degree view on different laws, amendments, legislations. So, therefore, we can effectively understand the overall objective, legal loopholes, and need for reform can be comprehensively understand if we have a 360-degree view over such laws. However, the such requirement, I mean, the need to have a 360-degree view over these laws felt especially after the COVID-19 pandemic. For example, the center has issued 900 notifications during COVID-19 pandemic, and state governments have issued 6,000 notifications over the subject, right? Because such notifications would of course create confusion, result in complexities in administrative arena, implementation of such rules, notifications, right? So artificial intelligence will help make them simple, right? So therefore, especially after COVID-19 pandemic, the need to have a comprehensive, the need to have a such, the need to have a such codification, or need to uh, introduce artificial intelligence to analyze or make it simple. So we need to make the law consume you need to make laws machine consumable. This means that whatever laws passed by this government should be effectively translated uh, by the artificial intelligence devices, right? So they can be single source of truth for all acts, subordinate pieces of legislation. So they should be a single source of legislation for gadgets, compliances, and regulations. So there are few examples in this regard. For example, an artificial intelligence can tell us uh, if an entrepreneur wants to open a manufacturing unit in Maharashtra. So, what acts and compliances are applicable? And in the same way, in the similar way, if a citizen wanted to check his eligibility for different welfare programs, then artificial intelligence will tell him the required documents in order to eligible for the announced government schemes, because the artificial intelligence will analyze all the provisions and will also understand the details given by the beneficiary, so that it would benefit not just the parliamentarians but also the business community and normal citizens. And it will help assist legislators, because very often in India, uh, the representatives, the parliamentarians, they represent a huge population in each and every constituency. Artificial intelligence can analyze citizens' grievances more effectively, and it also provides media responses and also flag issues which need immediate attention. For example, in a constituency, it lacks uh, basic facilities for healthcare, basic facilities for education. And artificial intelligence can flag issues which need an urgent attention, and it can also analyze citizens' grievances and social media responses. And it can help the parliamentarians in seeking citizen inputs for public consultation. Whenever a new law or new bill is introduced in the House, then a wider consultation with the different stakeholders, or taking into consideration public opinions, is also required to make it more to make the bill more democratic. So therefore, artificial intelligence will also help in this regard. Many parliamentarians have been experimenting with this artificial intelligence devices. Two examples have been given. One example is from United States, which has introduced artificial intelligence tool to automate the process of analyzing different bills and amendments and current laws. And Netherlands House of Representatives also introduced such an artificial intelligence tool that is known as speech to write tool. So this tool will help converts voice to text and also translate voice into written reports. So these are two examples of artificial intelligence being used in the legislative domain. However, the good news is that India is also innovating and working towards introducing such an innovative initiatives. The one such initiative is One Nation, One Application. Please remember about this. What is One Nation and One Application? Having a common portal, having a common artificial intelligence driven device. So that would have all the laws, bills, and rules, regulations, notifications passed by the government. That is One Nation and One Application, and also the National E-Vidhan portal. So the National E-Vidhan portal is an integrated portal that covers the bills, legislations, legislative enactments of both the central and state governments. So National E-Vidhan portal and One Nation, One Application. Remember these two applications. So artificial intelligence also stimulate the potential effects of laws. For example, the census data, household consumption, taxpayers, beneficiaries for various schemes, and also public infrastructure. When we have a huge data about the government schemes, investment facilitation, taxpayer, and also household consumption, that will lead to the data driven decision making, data driven policies, and they result in effective implementation of such policies, and also understand also help in understand what are the existing loopholes, what are the shortcomings of such policies, what are the targeted areas, targeted sections of the population. However, it can also help in flagging laws that are outdated and present circumstances. In India, we have several outdated laws right from 1850s. So therefore, artificial intelligence will help understand uh, such will help uh, flagging such outdated, obsolete laws. So because they are not fit into the current circumstances. One such example is the Epidemic Diseases Act 1857 and its ineffectiveness to control the pandemic situation is one such example of an outdated law. So we also have several pieces of criminal legislation that have enacted more than 100 years ago. Uh, the crime is evolving. So therefore, criminal laws which are outdated and have they are more than 100 years old, they are not very relevant for the present circumstances. So some of the old outdated legislative enactments are Press and Registration of Books Act, Public Gambling Act, and Prisons Act 1894. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has given a strong thrust to the Digital India initiative and digitization of services. For both, the COVID-19 pandemic has given a strong thrust because, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, people started to adopt the use of digital technologies and they started to integrate their lives with uh, digital tools. So therefore, it has given a thrust to the digitization, and the momentum needs to be kept up, and it should be utilized in the field of law also, policy making, and parliamentary activities by harnessing the power of artificial intelligence. Now, people are equipped to use the digital devices, and it should be used in the domain of law, parliamentary activities, and policy making as well. So, artificial intelligence must be encouraged in an open, transparent, and citizen friendly manner. However, we should also be concerned about the negative aspects of artificial intelligence because we should not completely rely on artificial intelligence because artificial intelligence there are also evidences that artificial intelligence do selective discrimination of individuals with the available data. So therefore, we should not, even if we introduce artificial intelligence, we should not completely rely on artificial intelligence. We should be mindful of the fact that it is just a means to an end, not an end in itself. Okay, so this is all about the use of artificial intelligence for making laws, for helping the parliamentarians. So the next news article is Center plans to revamp livestock insurance scheme to raise coverage. You know, India have the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana program for providing agricultural insurance to various crops. However, government also provide insurance coverage to the livestock in India, so that because most of the livestock owned by the marginalized sections, underprivileged sections of the society, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes. So therefore, providing insurance to the livestock will secure will provide safety and security for the livestock because their livelihoods are dependent on livestock. The center plans revamp of livestock insurance scheme. This is to raise the coverage. The center is considering a comprehensive livestock insurance scheme modeled on the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. What is the need of such a comprehensive livestock insurance scheme? The need is that uh, less than just 1% of cattle insured in the country. Only just 1% of the total cattle is insured in the country. So therefore, we need a comprehensive livestock insurance scheme modeled on the lines of Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. And the average uh, yearly premium is 4.5% of the insured amount. For example, imagine the insured amount is 10,000. The premium is just 4.5 percentage of that insured premium, that is around 450 rupees. Even due to high premium, the farmers, the livestock farmers are not interested to enroll in insurance, enroll in this livestock insurance program, because uh, if it is 4.5 percentage, if a farmer have a 20 or 30, a farmer have 20 or 30 uh, cattle, so then he has to pay around 10,000 rupees per year. So this is a huge cost for such marginalized sections. So therefore, they are not showing interest to be part of such a insurance program. Now, government has been considering all these aspects, so mulling over the idea of reducing premiums. The government has been trying to reduce the premium so that farmers can enroll on the scheme. However, the comprehensive livestock insurance scheme will replace the present livestock insurance scheme. The present livestock insurance scheme is also in place. The the premium is 4.5 percentage, but only 1% of the country's cattle is insured. The other reason for low levels of enrollment of farmers is lack of awareness and lack of effective measures on ground to encourage farmers to take to be part of such insurance programs. And also, farmers very often lack bank accounts. They are they are not financially uh, you know, educated. They are not financially literate. So therefore, this is also a constraint on the part of increasing enrollment of livestock insurance. The scheme presently functional in 100 districts of the country. So this is a centrally sponsored scheme being managed by the respective state livestock development boards. In a centrally sponsored scheme, the funds are being shared by the center and states. It is if it is a normal state, the fund sharing formula is 60-40. However, if it is a hilly state, a special, however, it is a hilly state sharing international borders. In those states, the special category status states, it is around 80-20 or 90-10. For union territories, 100% support is given by the government. Now, the report is submitted to the parliament. Uh, Demand for grants. So the government has been trying to directly transfer the benefits to the farmers' accounts. Since farmers have very often farmers do not have the bank accounts, so it is also poses a challenges. However, the government has been trying to uh, directly transfer the benefits to farmer accounts, right? However, the Parliamentary Standing Committee says that not even a single animal was insured in the year 22-23, whereas in the year 21-22, it was around 1,74,000 were insured. But in the year 22-24, 22-23, not even a single animal was insured. And the committee informed about the hardships faced by the livestock owners in getting their livestock insured. So, and also measures being taken to ease the process of livestock insurance. As we have discussed earlier, that they lack access to financial services and they are not financially literate, and also they very often lack awareness about the insurance and complex procedures for getting insurance cover for the livestock. So these processes, these complexities will be eased to increase the enrollment, right? So the committee has also suggested an app-based livestock insurance facility so that it can increase the coverage of insurance for livestock owners. high premium rate and general economic conditions, the poor economic conditions of the farmers, is the main reason for the lower enrollment, right? And the government has also been planning that SC/ST communities should be exempted from paying premiums so that they will get insured into this scheme. And the central government stressed on the importance of expanding the ambit of the scheme and also decreasing the premium paid by the farmers. If government decreases the premium paid by the farmers, it reduces the burden on the farmers, and more farmers will join into this program. So therefore, decreasing premiums paid by the farmers. In previous lectures, we have discussed the lumpy skin disease pandemic, right? So this lumpy skin disease pandemic, a viral infection that infects the cattle, and that leads to the low productivity on the part of the cattle, and also leads to the death. The lumpy skin disease led to the death of around 2 lakh cattle. Around 2 lakh cattle have died. Now, farmers have been demanding the compensation from the government after this loss. However, this center attempts to keep the premium low and ensure maximum coverage of livestock, so that even if the cattle died of diseases like a lumpy skin disease, they can be insured. They can be insured, and the losses can be recovered. So the coverage at present is very poor, and most of the farmers are not in a position even to pay the premium, higher premium, and the socio-economic conditions of the farmers is also one such reason. However, several farmer organizations have been demanding to come up with or demanding to initiate a comprehensive livestock and crop insurance in the background of pandemics, especially lumpy skin disease. Because of these lumpy skin diseases and any other disease, uh, even if due to a lightning strike, cattle very often die. Uh, if insurance is provided to the cattle, then uh, it provides a safety net for the farmer, because they're very often dependent on these cattle for their livelihoods. So loss of such cattle is a blow for such farmers. So therefore, um there's a need to increase the enrollment and the coverage of livestock insurance. And the next news article is about the cyber insurance. This is regarding the cyber insurance. See, UPSC earlier in 2020 asked a question on cyber insurance. What are the uh, losses covered under the cyber insurance? Because of increasing digitization, more and more businesses adopting the digital technologies, the threats to the uh, the threats in the form of cyber attacks have been increasing. So therefore, the cyber insurance has gained a prominence in the recent times. So now businesses steadily rely on digital technologies in order to operate, store data, communicate with more extensive customer base, and propelling their growth. For all these activities, they are now increasingly relying on digital technologies. Although the convergence of offline and online is a boon, is a good thing, is an advantage, is advantageous for such business houses, but it also raises the cyber attack risks, particularly for small and medium sized businesses, micro, small, and medium enterprises. The risk of increasing cyber attacks has been emerging. So, therefore, the businesses are more vulnerable because they're still in the process of establishing the robust cybersecurity means and expertise to combat, because they are in the nascent stage, and they are still in the process of establishing robust cybersecurity means and expertise to combat cyber risks. However, the current interconnectivity that is crucial for small businesses to financially safeguard themselves from cyber attacks by taking insurance. So, if they have a cyber insurance, then they can safeguard their activities from such cyber attacks. So, some situations which are covered under the cyber insurance. So, what are the cyber attacks? What are the instances which can be covered under the cyber insurance? For example, a business experiences a data breach, an attack, a cyber attack, and the data is stolen, and that resulting in theft or loss of sensitive data. Cyber insurance can cover the loss. In case of a data breach, theft and loss of sensitive information, cyber insurance can cover such a loss. And cyber insurance can also cover lost income. Uh, when a cyber attack causes a business to shut down or experience disruption, for example, uh, if a cyber attack targeted uh, at an industry, at a business group, and that led to the uh, disruption of the business activity, the cyber insurance could also cover the expenses or the income. So can provide a coverage for lost income and expenses. Okay. So these are the three uh, aspects, the three situations which could be covered under the cyber insurance. So if it is results in damage to third parties are consumers, for example, customers, partners. The insurance can cover legal defense costs and damages awarded. So they could be covered under these aspects as well. So what is a cyber insurance? So what is a cyber insurance? Having a digital presence can improve the cyber efficiency of small businesses. Because with the digital presence, they can reach out to the wider customer base, right? So therefore, it exposes companies to internet-based uh, perils, internet-based problems. That is more and more cyber attacks. So therefore, that include data and security breaches, cyber attacks, intellectual property losses, cyber safety hazards, and financial frauds. Such internet-based perils include all these categories, and therefore, to mitigate such risks, there is a need to mitigate such risks. To mitigate such risks, startups, small businesses should purchase cyber insurance policies. Earlier, we have discussed what are the situations which can be covered under the cyber insurance. So, due to increasing adoption of digital technologies, the risk of cyber attacks is also increasing, and internet-based perils for these companies also increasing. In order to mitigate such risks, startups, small businesses should purchase cyber insurance policy. So that has become more of a necessity than a choice. So this will not be a choice, then this will be more of a necessity. Moreover, the policy is now gaining popularity in India. Why it is gaining popularity in India? Because it covers expenses of investigating, repairing damages, such as restoring lost data and incurring forensic costs, providing indemnification of lawsuits, compensating clients for any loss resulting from cyber incidents. So, cyber insurance policy is covering a wide range of cyber attack related incidents. So, therefore, in India, it has been gaining popularity, and especially due to increasing the cyber attack related incidents and increasing awareness of small business groups over the importance of such cyber insurance policy. However, is it essential to take a cyber insurance policy? It says that The small businesses, especially the startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, they are a crucial growth drivers in India, right? So they contribute significantly for the India's GDP. According to some data in November 2022, around 43% of all cyber attacks targeted MSMEs and small startups. So therefore, taking up cyber insurance policy holds significant or significance, right? Because the policy secures company from the repercussions of such cyber attacks, right? Being the potential victim of cyber crisis, it comes to your rescue. The cyber insurance policy will come to your rescue that may cause financial and data losses and harm the reputation of the companies. So therefore, uh, this is all about the cyber insurance policy and what are the companies which are at the more vulnerable position and what are the situations which are covered under the cyber policy, right? So next to discuss the this is about India's tiger population. India's tiger population tops 3,000, shows a census. Recently, a tiger census was conducted. So according to the census, India's tiger population tops 3,000. So this is said by, so this has been an enormous increase in India's tiger population compared to the previous tiger census, right? So this census says that India has at least 3,167 tigers now, according to the latest tiger census. So this has been an enormous increase compared to the 2008 tiger census. Please remember, tiger census are conducted every 4 years. So this has been a significant increase compared to the 2008 tiger census. In 2008, there are only 2,967 tigers. In 2014, it is 2,226 tigers. Compared to 2014 levels, it is almost 1,000 tigers. There has been an increase in almost 1,000 tigers, right? So on the eve of the International Big Cat Aliens Conference, India is home to around 80% of tigers around the world. So therefore, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched International Big Cat Aliens Conference, and also the 15th, it also marks the 50th anniversary of Project Tiger. Remember, Project Tiger is launched in 1973 under the Prime Ministership of Indira Gandhi, right? So therefore, Project Tiger has completed its 50th anniversary. And on the eve of International Big Cat Alliance Conference and 50th anniversary of Project Tiger, the tiger census have been released. So these are the tiger range zones, the Western Ghats. The tiger population in the Western Ghats have declined, but Shivalik Hills, Gangetic floodplains, Central India, Northeastern Hills, Brahmaputra floodplains, and the Sundarbans. So in these tiger range areas, tiger range zones, there has been a growth in the tiger population. However, in the Western Ghats region, there has been a decline in the tiger population. These are tiger range zones, tiger range areas. The Shivaliks, the Gangetic floodplains, Central India, Northeastern Hills, and Brahmaputra plains and Sundarbans. So there was a decline in the Western Ghats numbers. So though the major populations were said to be stable, the stable population is maintained in Western Ghats, but there has been a minor decline in the number of tigers in the Western Ghats. However, the latest census does not give numbers on proportion of tigers outside the areas, because there are outside areas also there are number of tigers. Uh, so these tiger census conducted only within the tiger range areas or tiger range zones. This does not give numbers proportion to tigers outside the protected areas. Protected areas are national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, and biosphere reserves, right? So, however, the tigers outside the protected areas indicates that it is a marker of environmental threats as well as man-animal conflicts. Tigers outside protected areas indicates this. Nearly all of the five major tiger zones face challenges from the growth of tiger population due to the increasing demands for infrastructure development. In these tiger range zones, there has been an increasing demands for infrastructure development. So due to increasing demands for development projects, so there has been challenges in the growth of tiger population. The Project Tiger, which has been started in the year 1973, established a number of dedicated tiger reserves. Now, after the Project Tiger has been started, there were 9 tiger reserves covering 18,000 square kilometers. But now we have 53 tiger reserves, spanning across 75,796 square kilometers, which is roughly 2.3% of India's land area, right? However, experts have been saying that only a handful of reserves, which are fast approaching their peak carrying capacity. So these reserves can no longer support the increasing tiger populations. They are reaching their peak carrying capacity. So they are suggesting that new regions should be developed so that these tiger populations can be relocated into other areas. However, India has been in talks with Cambodia, where the tiger population almost went extinct due to the poaching, uh, to create a suitable habitat there and ship a few tigers from India to revive the big cats population in Cambodia. So please remember, India has been in talks with Cambodia to shift some of its tigers to Cambodia so that to revive tiger population in that particular country. Tigers already went extinct in Cambodia. So the next news article is India to bridge the language gap with its neighbors, right? So let's discuss this news article. So India have a rich cultural connect with all of its neighbors, whether it is about the art, the religion, and so the movies. So in all these aspects, India have a rich cultural connect with all of its neighbors. So therefore, India to bridge the language gap. Indians cannot understand most of the languages of our neighbors, and also uh, if we wanted to translate any literary uh, works into those languages. And this is an effort on the part of the government of India to further the soft power of India into those countries. And this also creates a cultural connect and the people to people ties. So, in this backdrop, let's discuss India looking to expand the cultural footprint in nations with which it has a historical ties, right? Historical ties like um, India have uh, uh, India is home to Buddhist religion. Most of the Southeast Asian countries have a Buddhism religion, and India also have trade links with these countries, right? So therefore, India is planning to create a pool of experts in languages spoken in these countries: Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Uzbekistan, Indonesia. So this is to facilitate a better people-to-people exchanges. This will facilitate better people-to-people exchanges. And this idea is implemented by Indian Council of Cultural Research. And this program, this project is called as the Language Friendship Bridge. So according to this Language Friendship Bridge, the plan is to train 10 people in the official language of each of these countries, the above mentioned countries. So as of now, uh, the Indian Council of Cultural Relations considered 10 languages. So these are the 10 languages. So India have a shared heritage with all of these countries, both in the South Asia, Southeast Asia, and in the Central Asian region. What is a shared heritage? So considering our cultural imprints in these countries, India cannot afford to ignore these countries. Remember, we have discussed this is part of further increasing our cultural connect with these Central Asian countries and Southeast Asian countries. So therefore, India cannot afford to ignore these countries. The cultural imprints. India have the cultural imprints in these countries. Earlier, India's main focus on learning European languages. India largely ignored these countries and languages. So therefore, the Spanish, French, German, along with languages. So that was the key focus, the main focus, learning European languages. However, India requires translators, interpreters, and teachers in the languages. So India will have more translators, interpreters, and teachers in these languages. So therefore, uh, so therefore, uh, this enable India to translate its epics, its classics, as well as the existing contemporary literature into these languages so that people can effectively read them in those countries. So, this will further strengthen our people to people exchanges, ties, and this will be a cultural connect among these countries and will also further India's soft power. So, this is all about important news articles given in today's newspapers. Thank you.